Hello friends, welcome back. It's good to see you. For today's chick, we are going to need the following. This is Premier Just Chenille super bulky weight yarn from Dollar Tree. We will need a 5.5 millimeter hook, 3 pieces of orange yarn. This is regular yarn, about 8 inches. We will need 2 safety eyes with the backings. These are 10 millimeter eyes. And when you're making anything babyish, they tend to have bigger eyes relative to their head. A yarn needle and at least 2 stitch markers. If you want a third, it would be good to have, but if you can keep up with counting, then you'll be good. You will also need stuffing to stuff your bird, and you can use scrap yarn if you want. All right, let's begin. We are going to start with a magic ring. When you're working with this chenille yarn, it tends to stick every once in a while. So start out with a small ring. You'll see what I mean. And put 6 single crochets into that magic ring. Your next row will have 2 single crochets into every crochet in here. Go through both loops and you'll have 6 crochets around, 6 stitches around, and you're going to put 2 crochets into every stitch. That's an increase. So now you have 12 stitches around, and you are going to increase it to 18. And to do that, you put a single crochet in the first stitch and an increase in the next stitch, which means 2 single crochets into the next stitch. There, that's 3 so far. And do that all the way around. 1 single crochet, 2 single crochets. 1, 2, 1, 2, all the way around. Now that you have a total of 18 all the way around, you are going to do 18 stitches for rows 4 and 5, which means 1 single crochet per stitch. This will be a good place to put in a stitch marker if you have an extra one. So let me show you what I'm doing. I'm going to grab one of my orange yarns that I'm going to use later and just stick it in there. Oop. "18 stitches. That's row 4. Now row 5. Row 5. All right, turn your work right side out, and we're going to count this as the back and this is the front. So in the front, we are going to put the beak. Take one of your orange yarns and pick a center area, like right in here. You are going to put your hook in between rows 4 and 5. So just pick a stitch to go into, and then it's going to come out 2 stitches later. So you have 2 stitches in between or on your hook, and it's between rows 5 and 4. Grab that yarn and make sure they're pretty even down here. Pull it through And you don't need to pull it too far, you just want it to go about halfway. Then take those other two tails and pull them through the loop you just made. Now, this may be picky to you, but this is what I like to do because I think it looks better. There's an orange yarn on the top and an orange yarn on the bottom. I take the one that's on the top, bring it down under the bottom one, and pull it over to the left. And then this one I pull to the right. And it'll look better when it's completely done. Then go through the hole you made for the beak and pull that yarn through. Same with the other side. Go into the exact same place where you put the beak and pull that yarn through. Now you can fluff up this beak if you want. Sometimes it looks good. And there's your beak. On the inside, you are going to tie the yarns together. Pull it gently, and the second time you tie, you can pull it tight so it'll stay. And keep that yarn in there to help with the stuffing. And there's your beak. Now let's put in the eyes. We are going to put the eyes on the same, between the same rows, 5 and 4, but we're going to go one stitch beyond where the beak was. So the beak came out right here, and we're going to just go over one stitch and put it in there. Ooh, it looks better already. Same with the other side. Go from the orange yarn and go over one stitch and put it in there. Oh, isn't that cute? It will be once you secure these. So these backings, whoops, are very small. They are like little cup things with a hole in it. And the eye goes right into that hole, and you snap them together. They have scissor type things that are made for clamping, and they have different stuff you can do. I just use my fingers because it's quick and easy. Oops, went too far, but that's okay. All right, now let's continue. All right, friends, for row 6, I need to be completely honest with you. And first of all, say that these are not rows, these are rounds. I understand that. I'm just so used to saying row, but we're not going back and forth, we're going around and around. So rows, rounds. Here we go again, sorry. Figured you know what I'm talking about. Round 6 is where we put the wings on. So mathematically, it should be that we stitch 4 single crochets, then do 1 stitch to put the wing on, and then do 8 single crochets around, put one wing on, and then do 4 single crochets. So mathematically that adds up to 18 because we're doing 18 stitches around. However, I will be honest and say that very rarely works with this thing because the stitches are not exactly straight up and down. They don't line up, and you'll see what I mean when we put the feet on. So what I'm going to say is crochet over to behind the eye. So here's 1 stitch behind the eye. I want 2 stitches behind the eye, the second stitch. Let me show you here. This is 1 stitch behind the eye, but the wing is going to go into this stitch right here. 2 stitches behind the eye. That's where we're putting the wing. And in fact, one of these stitch markers needs to go in the back loop only of that wing. So I'm going to mark that right here. Then I'm going to go to the other side, but I want to look down from the top and get symmetrical with that one so we can put the second wing where the first one is. 2 stitches behind the eye. So there's, let me see, does that work? Nope, that's 1. That one's even worse. So let's go with this one. Okay, so you see the distance behind the eyes is about the same. That's where we want our wings to be. So I'm going to mark the back loop only on this. That would be the inside loop. The inside loop on both of those stitches. So now, wherever you are on your bird or your chick, single crochet up to that stitch that has the marker. All right, so now we're in that stitch. In the front loop only, this front loop is going to do a lot of work, and you're going to be amazed. In the front loop only, remember the back loop is still with the stitch marker. Front loop only, do a slip stitch. Then a half double crochet in the front loop only. Then do a double crochet, front loop only. Then do a half double crochet, front loop only. I told you that the front loop's getting a workout. Then a slip stitch, front loop only, you guessed it. All right, that's all in one stitch. And you have the back loop marked right there because we're going to need that on the next round. So single crochet over to the next one, the next stitch marker, being careful to get that next crochet, the next stitch under the wing. It tends to get hidden a lot because there's so much going on with this stitch right here. All right, now we're at the next stitch with the stitch marker. In the front loop only, you're going to do the same thing for this wing that you did for the last one. Slip stitch, half double, regular double, half double. My stitch marker's getting in my way. And slip stitch. Now I get it that it looks distorted a little, you know, there's a big hole in it. It will be covered up, don't worry about it. So from here, stitch all the way to the back again, the back center. For row 7, start single crocheting 18 all around. However, when we get to that wing, I'm going to show you what to do. All right, we're at the wing. Fold that wing down, and you've got your stitch already marked of where you're going to put your hook. All right, see that? Do a single crochet into that back loop only. Now I'm going to get rid of that slip stitch marker. And then go do a single crochet in the next stitch, which is right there. So you have to bring it around to the front to do your single crochet. Keep going around single crochets for row number 7, round 7. When you get to the wing, fold it down, do a single crochet into that back loop only that's marked with the stitch marker. and finish your single crochets. You will notice this gets twisted up a lot. That's the way this yarn is made. So you just have to keep untwisting it as you go along. That was round 7. So now round 8, 9, and 10 are just going to be single crochets all the way around. So I'll meet you back here when you're done with row 10. All right, friends, we made it to row 10. For row 11, round 11, we are going to do a decrease all the way around. And because we have 18 stitches, decrease takes 2 stitches and makes 1 stitch out of it. So we're going to decrease it by half. So we should end up with 9 decreases, single crochet decreases. To do this, you go in the front loop only. If you can see that, that's really hard to see, but it is the front loop only. Pull up a loop, go into the next stitch, front loop only, pull up a loop, and then pull through all 3 loops. That's 1 decrease. So now you have 1 stitch out of 2. Do that 8 more times. And there you go. Cut off a tail about 6 inches, pull it through. Now we're going to add the feet. The feet are done the same way that the beak was, except instead of going through 2 stitches, we're only going to go through 1. And we are going to place them between rows 10 and 11. 11, the decrease you just did. So between 10 and 11, so right in here, underneath the eyes. So find the eye and just come straight down and put it in that stitch. Just 1 stitch. Pull it through, and then pull these 2 tails through that loop. Go up through that loop, or through the stitch you just did. I have to see what I'm doing here. Pull that yarn through. And do the same on the other side. And tie them like you did before. There's 1 foot. Now let's do the next. Start at the eye and come straight down, which is right here. You'll notice these stitches are kind of going up at an angle, and these and these. So if you follow this eye down and you're just looking at the stitches, you're going to end up over here somewhere. So you need to go straight down because the stitches don't line up exactly right. They kind of zigzag and go, it looks like an angle. So that's why you take the eye and just follow it straight down geographically. Then put your little foot in. Now we are ready to stuff. This last row, this decrease row, is going to tuck under like that when we sew it together. And that's what your little chick will look like. All right, let's stuff it. Looks good. Okay, to close this off, you will take your yarn needle and thread it and go around every stitch like this. When you come up, after you hook that loop, the stitch, try not to grab any stuffing because it'll just come out and be out there, and it's just a pain to deal with. All right, when you get to the end, take that yarn and pull. And there it is closed. Fluff it up a bit. And sew in your ends. This is a good time to cover up any holes you think you may have. And there is your chick. By the way, if you want to make the mallard duck right here, do green in rows 1 through 5, rounds 1 through 5, a round of white, and then the rest brown. And the wings actually go in row 7 instead of 6, so that the wings can be brown like the rest of the body. For the eagle, or eaglet, you will do rounds 1 through 5 in white, and then 6 through 11 in black. And the wings also are on row 7, just like the mallard, not row 6, like the other chicks. If you want to do a parrot, you can do a parrot, just whatever colors you want. The parrots come in all kinds of colors, so pick your color and do whatever kind of bird you want to do.